Hello and welcome back, fellow humans. So today we're continuing the next episode of Lake of Voices. If you haven't seen the first one, you can check it out in the link down below, or just go to my channel and you can check it out there. But today we're gonna continue off right where we left off. Each of us hold our lanterns in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick, and the night is nigh impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Not my bad, I didn't mean to jump straight into it. But last where we left off, we had just embarked our journey, crossing the lake. We had met Margaret and the guide, and right now we are beginning to cross the lake. We're gonna see how it goes. I managed to ease Margaret up a bit because I had a feeling that I didn't need to ease up our friend here. So yeah, that's basically a summary of it. We're just getting to know each other and stuff like that. So continuing on right where we left off. Let's continue. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickened breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even the sound of water with how still the water is. It seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of the black marble floor. I've heard rumors of the water's sinuous is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That's just the weight of its oppressive cling, and that is just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
Sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulders rise and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there. If there's anything at all, it will only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
He's facing the front again, his voice as expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh,
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not so difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs, non-committally. Committedly.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
Pardon me for my voice too. It's been a while since I've read out loud. I'm sorry guys. Like I said, I'm not used to these videos, but don't worry. They will get better. They will get better over time. She hesitates and then she looks attentively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
The Melee and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
I admire her resilience. It's comforting to know that that everyone here is so confident in their abilities. Not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I'm not sure I'm sorry guys. I'm not sure if that is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing in yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhumane voices, and this time coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking except louder, as if it's to cover the Nixie's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and if everyone around you has enough sense to do the same, that's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guy doesn't say anything in response to Bamel's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bamel, or whether he just didn't feel the statements made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around a large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off to another way. I wonder how the guide knows which one of these essentially identical paths is correct. When something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
The guide's voice is calm and level. I decided against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, he speaks softly, though I couldn't hear him because of it. Ooh, my, okay. I take my eyes off Margaret, ahead of a moment explaining it to Bamel, and stop dead in my tracks. Only one word is able to escape me in my stunned state. Behind. Oh wait, no, my bad. I'm sorry guys, she read that. Behind Bamel stands another figure, looming in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bamel grabs the hilt of his sword. He whips around and staggers swiftly backwards. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted black figure hobbles its way towards us. Some kind of liquid drips from its head, curling around the edges of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Bamel backs up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, its head jerking from one angle to another.
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumbled across the bridges looking for opportunities.
So I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what keeps us all on that path?
Nothing. Instead of returning to the front of the party, Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into a nervous optimism when something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight and desperation bleeds into her voice. I bit the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact that it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping, then resuming its slow advance.
Okay. Does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Ooh, it looks a little bit closer. Bamel spits. He's the one bringing up the rear. So he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there. Don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
Bamel sputters in anger, and the guide summarily ignores him. I solidly grab a hold of Bamel's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you
Bamel's eyes the guide with unresolved hostility, but allows himself to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness.
At least there's someone I can count on.
Despite the fact that I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now, he doesn't give a damn what we end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
Bamel places a gentle hand on my shoulder. I mean, he's happy. He's pretty... Not seriously. You know, he did say we were professional. Mel's face hardens in return. He moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine and now properly set our look forward. Margaret is following the guy with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we're catching up. Margaret returns her head to the front and quickens her pace. With a tug on Bamel's shoulder, we start to follow him. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridges. Only this time, the wet, squishing footsteps of the Prowler join the sound of our own. The Prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps and then short ones. At times, it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out the water like this, or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I steel myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then, all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Am I? They're stopping.
Bamel slows down as I do. And as we near Margaret's back, she says something akin to distress. I tug on Bamel and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
Yikes, so now there's two of them. Great. Just over his shoulder, I see another Prowler stumbling towards us, white liquid dripping from his eyes. The guy's hands turns over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand when Bamel speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Bamel's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hand grips it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far. The light will blow out before it reaches the Nyx.
He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the Prowler starts to back away. It is only approaching the light that makes it retreating. Making it retreat, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far away enough from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. The voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Waterly suddenly begins to splash across the lake in the distance onto the edges of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Bamel eases my grasp on his arm. Then suddenly the guy takes multiple long, fat, and fast strides forward, throws the lantern, jumps back to regain the lost distance. There's a sharp hiss and then a deep splash, and then the voices of the Nixie grow quieter. Not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
I glance at Bamel and realize he too is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. The first Prowler, it's still there. It's right there. I shift around, pulling Bamel behind me. The Prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bamel, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out and the two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. Then there's a slick splash, and I realize the Nyx has retreated into the water. Somehow, Bumel and I are still standing. We are still here.
Kika, thank you.
I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. I kick my leg out as fast as I can. The Nyx hold slips. It can't pull with the momentum I gained against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out towards the Nyx. The light brushes its face, and we see it for an instant, its eyes wide, and then slides back into the smooth surface of the water. Bumel grabs Margaret and I, both helping us towards the center of the bridge, and cussing under his breath.
Look away for 1 second.
It's fine, Bemele. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle, but there is nothing but a wet smudge around my trousers.
I am fine.
I say that, though I don't actually want to let go of Bumel. I need to in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety, but I feel a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head roughly and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I am able.
Kika, thank you. Again. You saved my life.
Yes. Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems like we're all on the same side. It isn't only Bumel and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as the monster's grasp, ends my train of thought.
We lost the lantern I threw. The Nyx grabbed it after the light went out.
Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she's upset. Wondering whether she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me, and just as quickly stops. Bumel chuckles in response. Our collective tension eases up, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
The guide starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief, the ease that wants to flood in my head. It's not over. The Prowler is gone, but so is Bumel's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemele, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bumel stays by my side as I keep at the end of the line. The breath of release for Margaret and Bumel is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Senlios, as well replaced by the gravity of near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival, something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of the Prowlers reaching out towards us appears each time I close my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
The Prowlers are on Margaret's mind too. Looking at her pained expression, it's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though. They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land. It's not right.
Of course it isn't. They are monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of right and wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly hope that's the last we'll see of the Prowlers.
Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end her part of the conversation early.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Bumel and I to reach your position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Bemele loses his position momentarily.
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bumel's surprise is so apparent. I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her, She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself too. Bamel returns his usual surety.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kika focuses ahead. It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Bamel turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would almost be sheer death. Not sure how experienced Bamel and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge. And the things, and that thing, I'm sorry. And that makes things so much more difficult. So we're gonna stick to the current format.
Staying behind?
Yes.
Seems like it.
Yes, I think we'll be good here. But really, thank you. That was a very kind offer.
Well, alright.
Margaret respects our decision and trots ahead a bit to catch up back with the guide. He who has paid no mind to the entire affair.
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
Margaret chuckles, reflecting on the amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Damn.
I suppress my laughter yet again at his pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly and like light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
I like the way you think.
Then a gleam enters Bamel's eyes as he grins.
I think Kika deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are of the utmost appreciation.
He leans softly into my shoulder, trying to get me to... what?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable. Then there was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Bamel shakes a fist at Margaret in mock anger and then shoots me an affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Bamel laughs, self-consciously scratching his head. A lot of talk going on here, a lot of talk.
That's very true. You can always count on Kika.
Dang, I appreciate all this love. This is a lot of love, guys. I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I'm pleased, almost grateful to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say. That wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Without a response from me, the conversation quickly dies out. Still, it eases my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. After some time, I notice Margaret isn't keeping up with the guide as much as she was before. I realize it's because the guide has increased his pace. Margaret begins to jog in an effort to keep up with him, and Bamel and I do the same. Despite this, the guide keeps getting further away. We go faster and faster until suddenly we're full on sprinting across the slick wooden boards. Figures in the dark fly past us in the blur, and it occurs to me the branching paths in the bridge appear to be sinking. I try hard to swallow my rising panic. The guide shouts something but is drowned out by the frantic pounding of our footsteps. I'm trying to piece together what he said. Don't stop, turn. When he takes a masterfully sharp right turn down a path. When he takes a masterfully sharp right down a different path, using his own momentum, the sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. Margaret must not know how. I'm trying to read this quickly to keep up with the intensity of the game. Margaret must not have worked out the warning either. As she is completely caught off guard by the guy's changing course, she runs straight ahead past the turn and continues down the path we've been following up until now. She clumsily begins to halt her momentum down the wrong bridge. Then I come up upon the fork. So I'm pretty sure this is gonna tell me if I go with the guide or go with Margaret. And my main goal is to keep everybody alive, but I don't think the guide... Okay, so necessarily the guide's gonna continue on living because he knows the right path. I'm gonna have to find my own path, so I'm gonna go with Margaret. I keep straight... Well, that actually kind of like gave me chills. I got a sound cue for that. I keep straight ahead, not making an attempt to go in the correct direction. Bamel seems to fumble slightly, but he stays close behind me in the light. I inwardly apologize. I come upon Margaret, who nearly runs into me. In her efforts to turn around, her face twists at the sight. Oh no. I ignore her and move to face the other way. The path we came from is disappearing into the water. It's sinking.
We have to jump.
What?
Margaret holds up her hands, but I grab her and spin her towards the path. The guide is on.
Go. We'll catch up.
What?
Melly and I will have to jump together. He needs the light. Just move.
I practically shove her, and without further hesitation, she takes a leap. She makes it just past the edge of the bridge, knees buckling as she lands, but is soon picked back up on her feet, holding the lantern out towards me. She beams with pride. I gesture down the bridge to the guide rapidly fading light. Margaret slowly nods and then runs after him.
Here.
I offer Bamel my hand, tightening my grip on the lantern. Bamel accepts the offer, giving it a brief squeeze. A tight smile plasters itself across my face as I try to calculate the distance between our bridge and the other. Then the ground starts to shake more.
Jump!
We dash to the bridge's edge and leap. Cold air rushes past my face, winding its fingers into my hair. For in an instant, I think I see something moving under the surface of the water. Then we land on the hard wooden bridge. But Mel lets out a sigh of relief as we both creakily get fully back on our feet.
Stay close. We need to run.
I'll be right behind you.
I take off, not bothering to ensure Bamel is staying true to his word. I know he'll follow. The guide's fading light bounces in the distance, a clear signal that he's still running. I focus everything I have on catching up. Slowly we begin to close the distance. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. Even my stamina is being challenged. I can't imagine what this must be like for Margaret. She's holding her sides as she runs, clearly cramping from the exercise. How much longer will this last? People have to rest sometime. Almost as if in a response to my thought, the guide abruptly halts. I skid to the stop as well, sliding on the surface of the wood.
Stop.
Bamel's voice is tired, but his guard is up. The guide doesn't answer, just stares at something slightly out of view. I step up to join him, following the gaze down further the path. Who is this? There in a curled up little ball illuminated by the lantern, the light cowers a person. His hand grips on his head, and he rocks from side to side, mumbling incoherently.
It's a man.
Alright.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
I'm struck with an array of questions. What is going on? Why would he wander out onto these bridges on his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Where were there others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances over. He glances above him, seemingly only just now having the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness along with the clear markings of terror, are there scrawled across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do. I snap my eyes away from the man and instead to the guide's cold and implacable face.
No! We can't just leave him here. We've managed fine enough already, and these creatures will probably pluck him away as soon as we've gone. Without light, it's certain he'll die.
I mean, he hasn't died yet.
He won't make it regardless.
Well, alright then. Screw this guy, right? The guide turns to look at us, his eyes seeming to glow from the closeness of his lantern. For the first time, I feel uncomfortable in his presence.
Whoever shelters him will only risk dragging themselves down with him. Leave him.
I glance at the others, but Mel's outraged, but Margaret is staring at the man with something like fear. She's uneasy, but she doesn't voice her concerns. I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise when the guide speaks again, his voice cutting.
If the man comes, and whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group, far enough that you can't see me, just my light. That is how you will travel across the bridges.
Oof. This is rough. I want to pick up this guy. I don't know his story. I don't know what's going on. What's the deal with him and the guide? But if we shield him, this guy's gonna allow us to travel at a distance. Which makes me believe that the limitation of people that we could have is 4, I presume, right? Because he was comfortable. So necessarily no. Necessarily it's 3 people. Right? And I might be looking too deep into this. But necessarily it's 3 people because he said at the start of the game that one of us will die because now there's too many, practically. Don't quote me on that. One of us will die because there's too many. That's why Kika, me, I'm always saying I will protect everyone, I will protect everyone. But now our limitation is back down to 4, and he's gonna be at more of a. It's gonna be 5. Our party is gonna be 5, but he's gonna be more at a distance. Because I'm guessing there's only a certain limitation of like people that could stick together. And I guess this would the more people, the more it will increase our chances of running into prowlers. I'm assuming. So with this in mind,
I didn't agree to lead this man, and I won't. If you ask me to, I will leave you all behind.
adrenaline surges through my veins, and I tense up in a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives, but merely to show us the way. We're on our own. Whew, that's intense. Alright, guys. I think that's all the time I have for today. So, that was episode 2 of Lake of Voices. So far, things are really picking up. Like, I understand the first episode probably wasn't that great, but now we're really picking up. And I need to think about what we're gonna do about this new guy, if I want him or not to join the team. But thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next episode of Lake of Voices. Thank you so much and have a great day.